say yes to opportunities. So I am so thankful and very happy where I'm at right now. And none of that would have happened if I wouldn't have said yes. And so I would say when an opportunity arises, if it doesn't make sense, like it doesn't feel right, like you feel like there's no way that I belong in that space, or that I should do this because of my background or whatever it may be, like do it anyway. Just go for it, because you'll regret it if you don't. And I will say that I have constantly in my life said yes to a lot of random opportunities. And without saying yes, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Hey, welcome back to the Spotlight. My name's Tim Brandon. I'm with the SBDC and proudly with my new friend Katelyn here at Vision Studio. We've got the whole team behind the scenes. They're going to help us just film this conversation, ultimately spotlight you and your company, Meyer Najem. And I've practiced that. We've been practicing to say this correctly.
Great job.
So welcome to the show.
Thank
My
you.
First question is, I know you. I've had the opportunity to get to know you. We had our first Zoom call, and so I know you, but tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I work at Meyer Najem, construction and development out of Fishers. And I've been there for almost 2 years. It's kind of crazy to think about that. But my past is in economic development. So I worked at Indiana Economic Development Corporation, IEDC alum, and really enjoyed my time there. And then from there, I went to 9-Star Connect, which is a utility company out of Hancock County. So I was really excited to be able to work there because that's where I'm from, that's where I was raised. And so to be able to go back to the county, which where I'm from, to be able to work and serve the people there was a really cool experience. So that's a little bit about my background.
I love that.
Yeah.
So with 9-Star Connect, well, let's backtrack a little bit further. With IEDC, which I'm IEDC SBDC, so we have that in common.
Yeah.
That's why I went like this. Tell me a little bit about what you did at IEDC and who you got to serve.
Yeah, so during the time at IEDC, I was underneath the Holcomb and trying to think of the other administration. I think it was during the Holcomb time. I mean, it was over 5 years, and it's been a minute since I've been there. But during my time there, I had multiple different roles. One of the roles when I first started there was redevelopment project manager, as well as the small business ombudsman. And of course, when I looked at the job on LinkedIn, I'm like, what is an ombudsman? And I literally had to Google it because I had no idea. And then when I realized it was a liaison that was like helping small business owners with their issues, their problems, that red tape that they were facing, I was really interested in the job. I had no experience in economic development. That was like the one class that I did horrible in college. I may have quit it and like restarted it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
So it didn't affect my GPA, my dean's list. But I decided to take a leap of faith, and I took the job, interviewed, got the job. And then from there, I ended up going underneath the IEDC umbrella, but to PTAC, which is now Apex. Yeah. And that was in federal contracting, which was really cool because of my background in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you an officer or were you enlisted?
I was both.
Okay,
So I enlisted a year out of college.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to become an officer because obviously I had a degree. But I wanted to go enlisted. I wanted to go that route because ultimately I knew I wanted to be an officer, but my whole family was enlisted, and I just wanted to go that path, and I wanted to be able to experience the enlisted life because I knew when I became an officer, I wanted to be able to speak to what they had been through, the training that they had done. And so did my enlisted contract and then direct commission as an officer, and then I actually just got out recently.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
E to O, those were always my favorite leadership parties,
it's different
right?
type of leader.
Definitely.
Yeah.
To your point, right? If you've stood in the shoes of your folks that you're leading and you understand them, you have an empathy or understanding to their role, their responsibilities, I think that makes you a stellar leader or officer, right?
Yeah.
So E to O, those are always the best, enlisted to officer.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about PTAC, because that's, again, it goes hand in hand with your government background as enlisted and an officer, leader in the military. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Let's not forget that.
Heck yeah. No, thank you. But so with regards to PTAC, which now is called
Apex.
Describe just what they do, who they help, and then what you were doing inside of there specifically.
Yeah, so it was great. So because one of the main things that they did was they helped business owners get certified. So it wasn't just veterans, but women, minorities. So we were able to help them get set up. If you're familiar with SAM.gov, the federal contracting system, so a lot of those programs, they're set up for really great causes, but they're really difficult to navigate. And
Right.
so the team that I worked with at PTAC, now Apex, were the ones that were really helping the business owners and meeting them where they were at, to be able to assist them with that process, but also work with the different federal government opportunities, but also at the state level as well.
Yeah. See, I wasn't aware that they did state as well, so that's good to know.
Yeah, and well, and granted, this was a couple years ago, so
Okay.
this like dates me a little bit, and so they did help out with some of those opportunities that were out there.
Very good. Um, so what's a common misconception for folks that are looking specifically to get involved in government contract? Do you still remember some of the folks, maybe apprehensions or some of their,
Well, the one thing is a lot of people said it was really hard. It's like too hard. It's a waste of time because they felt like once they went through the process, or one of the worst mistakes is when they paid someone. And this is what I always I hated was people would utilize services they found online, and
mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes they were scams. They'd be yeah, and then they thousands of dollars, and then it didn't get them in the door, or it wasn't right, or whatever. And so when I worked for the state, I was always advocating use our services. And even now to this day, I mean, with what I do, I mean, I'm in development and construction, and whenever I get a chance to talk to an entrepreneur, I'm like, are you certified? Like, if you're a woman, are you a certified business? Like,
Right.
what is that? And to guide them to the resources to be able to help them without them having to hire a consultant. I mean, those are great to have, but when you have a state that has so many tools in the toolbox, like, use the ones that we have. That's why they're there.
Yeah. No, totally agree. And it's such an eye-opening experience to be at IDC or SBDC, to travel around and be introduced to folks that are providing no-cost solutions or low-cost solutions
Hmm.
for employers and their staff or communities, right, to take advantage of. And I think once you sort of are aware of some of those things,
Hmm.
you can't help but share them out or toss around.
Absolutely.
Some of my
Yeah.
favorite things about SBDCs and sort of our shop is just being able to be a liaison of
Hmm.
tools and resources that are helpful.
Yeah.
Throwing out that lifeline or throwing out that ticket to an event, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So at Nine Star, talk about that. So this is in your hometown that you
Yes.
worked,
Greenfield.
and
Hmm.
remind me and sort of tell some of the listeners what you did at Nine Star.
Yeah, so I was the director of economic development there. It was really cool because, like I said, it's in the community of where I live at, where I grew up at. But the thing about Nine Star is that I will forever love about them is they really care about their community.
Mm-hmm.
They are constantly giving back. I say when it comes to Greenfield, Hancock County, there's three big players. We have Greenfield Banking Company that does a great job, Hancock Health, and Nine Star Connect that really come together. And whenever there's a need for the county, their name is always going to be there to show up for them. But Nine Star Connect, utility service, they do fiber across the state. I use them as a service for my like internet, and things like that. So they do multiple different services, but I would say those that live in the county primarily use Nine Star Connect.
Very cool. So were you still, like, when you got to Nine Star, I'm assuming you're still probably working with businesses as well, like through that
Yeah, so
organization?
yeah, so I was, a lot of people wanted to utilize Nine Star Connect, and I was kind of that, once again, the liaison between when people wanted to see how they could collaborate and things like that. Also being a tool for those in the community. We had a what is it called, co-working space,
Oh,
remember
cool.
remember those things.
Yeah.
And so they had one there that I was also running and operating in-house because Hancock County didn't have one. And so once again, Nine Star showed up and said there's a need, people want a space to work, and so they provided that one of those at one of their spaces. They have multiple sites, Nine Star Connect.
Very cool. So you've sort of been in this I don't want to say a broker role, but this mediator, a middle person role, where you've got good resources and you're connecting them to community or individuals for prosperity, or two people are coming together, whether in a co-working space or inside a Nine Star IDC, and you're helping them discover synergies
Mm-hmm.
and navigate. So you've had a history of that.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming you probably did some of that in the military as well, like as an officer. What
Right.
was your, what do they call it, MOS in the Army?
MOS, yeah.
What was your MOS in the Army? I
So
forgot to
my
ask that.
yeah, MOS enlisted AOC officer, all the acronyms, right?
Hmm.
So my MOS when I was enlisted was a 6-8 golf, so patient admin.
Okay.
And then when I became an officer, I was a medical officer, and then I went to multiple schools to become a patient admin officer. And so it's interesting because I do not have a background in medical at all. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do it, was because the Army's going to pay for me to go do some training and learn something that no one else can pay for me to do. Like, I love this, right?
Right.
And so I took on that opportunity. But the whole medical side is nothing of my background. I have a double degree in political science and legal studies. So it was really, really unique to fall into the opportunity that I had to be able to become a medical officer.
Very good. But I'm assuming a lot of those characteristics, it sounds like a really fun sort of exploration and challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some of those played into, the rest of your linear journey, getting involved with 9-Star, IEDC, and now I want to ask your current role at Meyer Najem. Talk about what you're doing now and how some of your stories sort of helped you in the position that you're in now at Meyer Najem.
Yeah. So now with what I do, business development, it's crazy because it's like I never imagined being in a role like business development, but it makes perfect sense for my personality. And then with my past experiences, it's now like it's just all the stars are now aligning. So with what I do is I work with business owners, and I figure out what their needs are, what their wants are, how can I help them. And that was everything that I was doing when I was working at the state. So, but now I've learned throughout all my years all these different tools that the state has to offer, which now I can share to my clients as like a full service. Like before, if I wouldn't have gone through IEDC, I would have never known all the amazing things that the state offers. And now, being in the role that I am, now when I'm talking to owners, I'm thinking on a whole different lens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes, Meyer Najum can offer all of this, but wait, there's more.
Right.
Like, there's more. And I'm like, I can connect you to so-and-so who I had worked with previously, or I know will take good care of you. And I think that's the great thing about all my time and with all the networking that I've done and the experiences that I've had. Now I'm able to bring all of that knowledge and all the amazing people I've met throughout my journey and be able to help folks when they come to the table and they want to work with Meyer Najum. I mean, they've already built an amazing reputation, and it speaks for itself. So most people already know who they are, what they've done. They've seen their signs all across Indiana.
Right.
But, I like to think that I can offer them even more than what we bring because of my past experience.
Love that. So how would you describe Meyer Najem to someone that's never heard of it before? Just the company in general. I know that they do a lot of different things. So
Right.
maybe just how would you describe it to somebody that's just now finding out about it?
Yeah. So the cool thing about Meyer Najum is that we do construction and development, and we don't have just like one necessarily niche. Like I always tell people our bread and butter is healthcare. It's K through 12. But we do everything. I mean, we just did this amazing project with Lucas Oil,
Yeah.
their headquarters. And then, we do things like coffee shops and yoga studios. And so there's nothing that we can't do. And a lot of times, most recently, I'll have people come to me and say, well, I'd love to use your company, but you guys do the big stuff, the big projects. And I'm always like, hold up, you don't understand. We do the smallest of the small projects as well. We have a team that's nimble and can do all those things. So when you think of an office that needs a new conference space, or at a hospital, they're redoing their wing and they need something done. I mean, we can do all of that, which is a really cool, because it makes my job easy, because I'm like, we can basically do anything.
Right.
And then when it comes to what's different about us, other than us being so nimble and the projects that we can have, is also the fact of, we put our money where our mouth is, and we really go out into the communities that we work in, and we help, we volunteer, we are in the communities, and we're all about building strength in the communities of which we serve.
Love that. So when you can do any project, you can do any build, right? I just start wondering whether it's for government, community, an individual leader, or a business owner comes to you. What does that typically look like? What questions do they have, or how does that process go to intercept that person, ultimately help them arrive at their finished product or finished idea? I'm curious, if there a form, is there a multitude of consultations? Like, just walk me through um, maybe what's common when somebody
Sure.
reaches out and where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everyone. I mean, because, I think it helps for me that I came into this role not having a background in construction and development. So I've had to learn so much in the last, almost 2 years about how the process goes. So now when someone comes in and they have no idea and they're like, I don't even know where to start. And then of course they're like, do you do the drawings or do you do this? And they don't know exactly what our company does.
Hmm.
I make sure that they know, like, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Like, this is your money, this is your project. Like, ask anything and everything under the sun. And there's some things that they have to have done prior to coming to us. Like, maybe they need to work with an architect. Granted, we can help with that. We can direct them to someone we recommend, but sometimes they don't even know kind of what the first step is.
Hmm.
And so it's working with that client to see, have they found a building, or do you need help finding a building? I mean, we can help with that. Or do you have your space, and so it just kind of depends on where they're at, and then we meet them where they're at.
So, what's the perfect client? Let's assume that you could build your
Okay.
own perfect client. What do
Mm-hmm.
they show up to the conversation with? If
Yeah.
somebody wants to, they're already in the process of developing or building, whether it's for a community, whether it's for their own personal business, whatever, fill in
Yeah.
the blank. How do they best show up for an initial call or initial meeting?
I think there's kind of like two, I would say, is like one where they have a location, they bought the location, they have
Okay.
the space. And then they either come to the table with an architect, they say, "Hey, I found this person, they're going to do the design, we want you to do the construction. Let's do this," right?
Okay.
Or where they had the space, the location, and they say, "We don't really know who we want to use. Like, is there someone you recommend? Like, you've worked with all these people. Like, who is best fit for this job?" Because every architect's different. I mean, some specialize in schools and some
Mm,
specialize in, this or that. And so we want to make sure that the client is getting like the best person for the job. And with the amount of experience that Meyer and HM has, I mean, we can tell you, because we've worked with so many, who
right.
would be a great fit for that job. And so that would be another one. But with both of those, the biggest key is, do you have the capital?
Got it.
Like, are you ready to go? And
Hmm.
a lot of the times that's where the holdup is that people get excited, and I get it because you're a business owner and you're like, I'm ready to roll. Like, let's do
Sure.
this. But then they may, come down to it, and it's like, well, we got to have some money in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to
Sure.
cost some cash. And so that's sometimes where the holdup is that, the idea is there, but maybe they're not financially ready to take that next step.
But I'm assuming you guys could point them to resources, or maybe you have some
Absolutely.
of those
Mm-hmm.
resources internal as well. Okay.
Yes.
What could somebody start putting together? And let's just assume that they have not, sort of went down the cash avenue to figure out how much they can get, things like that. What are some things that they could start collecting in advance before that meeting, right? Are there statements that they should probably have, or the conversations that maybe they should start exploring, or maybe you guys handle all that when they show up to the
Yeah.
first
Well,
meeting?
I think, like, it goes back to figuring out, like, are they, how established they are, and just like things of that nature, in the sense of, oh God, I'm trying to think of how to answer this the best way. Um,
Just how could somebody be best financially ready to
yeah.
sort of proceed like with a building project in general, right?
Yeah.
So it probably gets a little bit more complex. They need to obviously have good credit, right? They need to have
Right.
a business line or personal
Yeah.
line.
Usually we don't necessarily like, I will direct them to a bank if they are looking for a bank, or when it comes to like loans and everything like that. I mean, sometimes if they're looking for a line of credit and everything like that, then I mean, there definitely are banks that we work with that we're willing to suggest,
Sure.
them to go towards. But usually in that sense, they kind of come to us, or when we can start moving forward, when they have the finances
Got
in
it.
line. But I will say this, and this is probably the best way to note, we recently, in the last year, we brought someone on board, Susan Reed. She's phenomenal, amazing human being who has a background in finance
Hmm.
and then also attorney by trade. So she's like this triple
Yeah,
threat
that's
of a
awesome.
woman. And she's always thinking outside the box about how we can finance a project. And usually that's more in the municipal, like, you think of police stations, fire stations, because it goes back to we do it all, right?
Right.
So she's also a great resource that we bring to the team.
Very cool. So I'm just thinking about all these different projects. You said that recently you did one for Lucas Oil.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
literally
headquarters.
working on the headquarters building.
Yeah,
Okay. I was
yeah, the
immediately,
headquarters.
is it in the stadium or no?
The Lucas Oil. No,
No.
it's over by like the Keystone Mall
Okay.
area. Yeah, you'll see it on the interstate. And of course, I'm directionally challenged, so now I can't even think of the interstate. But
That
on the
interstate.
interstate,
Yeah.
that one over there. But yeah, so you can see Lucas Oil headquarters from the interstate, and it's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, it's close to the mall.
Very cool. I guess one question I could ask is what trends or shifts in construction development should business owners and community leaders be paying attention to right now? There's a lot of different stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's tariffs, there's
Right.
you fill in the blank. There's a lot of change. There's new governors, right? There's
Right.
new leadership. So what trends or shifts in construction development should business owners and community leaders be paying attention to?
I would definitely say SB1. That's been the hottest topic most recently. I'm not very well diverse in it. I
Okay.
mean, I don't want to speak too much on it because we're all still learning what that means, and we're very hopeful that there'll be some amendments. But I do know that has been something that people within the schools and the counties have been a little bit concerned on. So, I
Do we
mean,
know what it stands for? SB1?
Senate Bill 1.
Senate Bill 1? Is
Senate
that
Bill
what it
1,
is?
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm always, especially with my background in political science, I mean, I'm a big component on, staying on top of what the legislation's doing because there's so many things that affect us, but we have no idea because we're not paying attention.
Right.
And it's not like we all have lobbyists that are out there advocating for us, but just trying to just stay up to date with what's going on, I think is really important. And there's different channels to be able to do that.
What are some that you stay in touch with now? Like outside of LinkedIn, I know you're pretty active on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and that's probably a great resource to get some of this information. Are there any others that you maybe subscribe to or view outside the news? Maybe
Yeah.
the news is one.
It's really important to me to stay along with like who my state rep is. So Ethan Lawson is my state rep. He's amazing. He sends out newsletters. Majority, if not all, of state representatives send out newsletters. If you can get signed up, go online. But you're constantly getting updates of what's going on. So he does a fantastic job making sure that his constituents know what's happening.
Very cool. So just subscribe to some of their newsletters.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
absolutely.
I know that IRS, I'm subscribed to those.
I'm sure those are fun reads.
Yeah, sometimes they are really.
Oh,
There's
wow, okay.
sometimes there's information in there that is really helpful, right, to a
Okay.
company, whether it's tax savings or, yeah. Sometimes most of the time, though, I'll be honest, they're very dry and boring
No way.
or hard
Never
to
would've thought.
interpret. But no, that's good. That's good advice to follow your state representative. First, identify who yours is, right, and then follow them on probably social media would be a good one too.
Yes.
Just hit the follow button on Instagram if they're on there,
Yeah.
or LinkedIn, etc.
Mhm.
But then most of them, I think, do have emails, so that's a good
Yeah.
thing to
And I mean,
subscribe
every
to.
state legislator like focuses on something. Like they usually have a passion. They usually talk about it during their campaign trail. And so if there is a subject, whether it's veterans or healthcare or whatever it may be, I mean, you can easily look up online to figure out what legislator is focusing on that topic and then follow along and subscribe to them.
Yep.
And that be that person.
Brilliant. Smart. My question is, so in your business development role, networking, you've already mentioned, is super important.
Yeah.
Where do you go to network, and who are you aiming to connect with?
Yeah. So I absolutely love networking,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so fun for me because I get energy off of meeting new people and being in spaces where I don't know anyone. Years ago, the thought of walking into a space where there's a bunch of people that I don't know, instant anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like now it's like, to me, I'm like, put me in the room where I don't know anyone, because then I'm going to get all of these new connections and my network is just going to strengthen. And then that helps my, my current network. because the more people I know, the more people they know, and how I can, work to connect them all together. And so it's really important to me to be going out and networking as much as possible. And I don't necessarily kind of just stick to one or two. I find the ones. LinkedIn, like you said, I mean,
Mhm.
I utilize a lot. And so like I love going to the IBJ events. They've done a really great job
That's
recently in
good
the
ones.
past year.
What is IBJ for some of those folks that maybe don't know?
Yeah, Indianapolis Business Journal. So they've done a really good job this past year of creating a lot of different network events.
Mhm.
And I would say there's a lot of power players that show up to those events. And it's like, when I go to an event, there's two things that I'm looking for. And if I get one of them, then I'm happy. It's either the content, I'm going to walk away having learned something,
Mhm.
or two, it's going to be I met someone. I met someone in that room. And maybe the content that was shared during the network event was something I already knew or not necessarily that fits what I do. But I walked away getting to know someone, and maybe that's a follow-up coffee or a meeting or a Teams call. And I think that that's beneficial.
Definitely. What would you say to entrepreneurs or business leaders, just people in general that maybe shy away from doing the in-person stuff?
I always say do it. Go for it. You need to. And if you're a person that you don't like going to networking events because it drains you, then I'm all about like the whole battle buddy tag team. Bring someone along for the ride, right? Like ask a friend and say, "Hey, will you go to this event with me?" Or what I always do at my work is I always tell people if there's someone, because I have a lot of folks that are eager to go to networking events, which I love, and they're like, "I'll go, but only if you go." And I love that. I'm like, "That's fine. That's the first step, right?" Like that's fine. Because then the next time you'll go alone
Uh-huh.
or you'll take someone else, right? And so I always say like figure out how you're going to do it, whether you're taking someone or however it looks, but you just got to do it because it's so much better to meet someone in person and have that human connection versus sending that cold email.
Right. Cold email or even like jumping on a regular call.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
It's not. And I've learned that it's so important. Networking can happen online. You can do direct outreach, you can do cold outreach and prospect, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to mix the, outbound effort digitally and in person,
Mhm.
it's just far more effective to build the relationship and the rapport, which builds know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust results in
Mhm.
new synergies, new collaborations, new business dealings, new friends,
Mhm.
which all those things are great,
Yeah.
whether you're an entrepreneur or etc. Humans
Mhm.
in general. What do you think about? I guess it was funny. I was just having this conversation with the dentist um, with AI. How is AI impacting your company currently, or is it?
I mean, for us, we even had a whole AI month. We have a really good tech team at Meyer and Agem.
Hmm.
They do a fantastic job. So they spent a whole entire month educating everyone at our company about different aspects of their job and how to use AI to enhance what they're doing.
Yeah,
It's the whole thing about like, don't fight against it, like fight with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, utilize it. Like for me, I know that I use AI a lot in my day to day. One of my weaknesses that I've always had was writing. I never felt like I was a good writer, and
sure.
now I utilize AI to make sure that my punctuation's good, that it runs smoothly. A lot of times I type like I talk, and it's scattered brain, and so I utilize AI for that, or
Sure.
maybe reorganizing my notes and things like that. So I mean, I'm constantly figuring out how can I work smarter, not harder.
Right. And the reason I asked because with the dawn of AI, there's a lot of new videos. Right. People are creating videos. It's their AI
Mhm.
avatar or AI captions and AI photos and all this. And I think it's going to change the way that we just desire authenticity and like
Right.
real world
Sure.
conversation and just being physically present with
Mhm.
one another. I just am imagining in the next few years, 3 to 5 years, like more and more people are going to be bullish on going to the coffee,
Yeah.
right? Or going to the steak and shake,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever, fill in the blank on the event. I think we're going to see more of that. It's my hope
Mhm.
because you and I we grew up in the dawn of technology.
Yeah.
We've sort of seen it evolve.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Just was curious your thoughts there, and then my thought was, I wonder how the construction companies leveraging it. There's some amazing things like
Oh
with it
yeah.
as a tool.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I like to keep up on all the different features and functions that are happening like
Mhm.
through these different platforms. And one of them is ChatGPT's got a new feature where you can talk to it, like
Mm-hmm.
you have a verbal conversation, and
Yeah.
then actually turn on your video camera,
Oh, wow.
and it can see and analyze what you're looking at to
Oh,
then have a conversation about it. So if something's broken, or you're trying to get measurements of an
yeah.
environment, or if you're trying to troubleshoot something, electrical panel, it can be anything,
Yeah.
then it gives you real world insight on that. So I was curious if maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the guys out in the field are using it, or if you're
Yeah,
using it
no,
for.
we're definitely staying ahead of the times when it comes to our technology. Like I said, we have a whole tech team. We have a team that they use this technology, and I don't necessarily know if it's AI or not, but basically being able to look at drawings and put it in a system. It to me reminds me of Sims, that game if you remember
Yeah,
as a kid. To be able to see with the drawings, will it work, will it fit, and they're able to go into this what I call like a gaming system. It looks like to me like Sims, to be able to tell, is the piping going to work, or will we need to change it before we
that's
actually do it, so that way they're seeing the mistakes and
in
before
advance.
before they're spending the money, and then noticing it after the fact.
Very cool.
It's very cool.
Can you share, maybe that was the win that you were talking about earlier. Can you share a recent project or a win that you're especially proud of, and what it maybe taught you?
Absolutely. We recently won a project in Hancock County,
Mm-hmm.
and that is it's at Gateway, which is over by Mount Comfort, and it's with Hancock Health. And it is a MOB, so medical office building, and a retail building that's on their campus at Gateway. They're growing it, and it's a really cool experience to work with my community, because I've been there for 30 plus years.
Yeah,
And so since working at Myron Agem, I see the signs everywhere, but there wasn't a lot of signs in Hancock County. And I'm like, I want to have more projects
project.
in like the county that I live in. And I want to drive past and see it. And we have a really cool project called Amplify,
Mm-hmm.
that's in Hancock County right now in Greenfield. And just to touch on that really quick, if you're familiar with all the CTE, so now all of the kind of trades that we're really focusing on for the high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a building that's built out for all the schools in Hancock County for the students to be able to go to learn those trades.
That's awesome.
And it's in partnership with the Hancock Health. It's partnership with Ivy Tech. And a lot of really cool partners came together. And I drive past that every single day.
Yeah,
And seeing that is really cool. And now being able to have another project in Hancock County, it's just exciting to see us
yeah,
grow in a community that I live in.
it's very cool. And I'm sure every time you drive by it, you're sort of motivated.
Oh,
It
yeah.
encourages you. So is it on your way to work? Like,
No, so it's on the way going from, so I live out in country a little bit. And so on the way going into Greenfield.
okay,
Yeah.
you get to drive by and be like,
Yeah.
there we go. When is that project sort of estimated to be complete?
Probably sometime next fall.
Okay,
Yeah. So
cool.
this is fresh.
That's fast.
This is real fresh. It's brand new, and we're hitting the ground running. But with a lot of projects we talked about earlier, it was that, some are ready to go, some talk about it and they want to wait, but they want to go ahead and have that kind of just conversation to start to kick it off. And then there's other people that they come ready to play. They're like, we're ready to do this. Like, when can you start? And so,
Yep.
like I said, everybody comes to the table at different times.
Love that. What types of clients, partners, or community organizations are you hoping Myron and Gem connects with more often?
I am very passionate about, I don't want to say small business owners, because sometimes I feel like small gets like
Bad connotation.
yeah, and I'm like, it's not necessarily small. I mean, we go to like SBA, and what do they say? Like, a small business is 300 people or something.
Actually under 500, which is wild. That's why
Yeah.
you look at Indiana stats, it's like 97% of businesses in Indiana are small business. It's because the category,
number. Yeah, on
right?
federal
It's like
scale.
under 500 employees. That's a big 50 employees, 30 employees.
That's what I think about small.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's different. And so to me, with my background, I love working with the business owners that like have poured their heart and their soul into it, and you can tell how passionate they are about it. And I have the opportunity though to work with all sorts of owners. Some bigger companies, they have a person that their whole entire job is just working on projects and working on construction with construction partners like ourselves. Or there's people like, that are in charge of facility management. And so sometimes that's who we work with. But for me personally, I just really love working with the business owner that you can tell their passion through their story when they share it. There's just something about it that you can tell they've gave everything they got to that project. And I want to show up for them for that.
It's awesome. So being that there's so many different builders out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have options just like at the grocery store.
Right.
What makes your company the logical choice? One of my favorite questions to ask. Like what
Sure.
makes it stand out? Like why go this route?
Yeah, no, I love that question because I'm so proud of where I work at because the people are so amazing. And I kind of shared earlier, we truly give back to the communities we serve in. We do a lot of community service, a lot of volunteering, and so when it comes to the difference in what we provide versus others, I think there's a multiple list of different functions and services we provide, like on the technology and like the finance, on the knowledge that we have that I spoke about earlier, but also I think it's just the personal touch of the people that we have that you work with. It has been truly an honor to be able to work with those that I get to stand by my side. And I've worked at a lot of cool places and done a lot of great things, but the people at Myron Agem are just genuine good people, and it doesn't matter the hour of the day. They're going to answer and they're going to get the best result for you.
Get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sounds like the military a little bit.
A little bit. That's why they said I'll fit just right in.
Mm-hmm. So maybe this is an ignorant question from my end. Is there a busy season in construction? Is winter busier than summer? Is there a season where it's more hustle and bustle?
That's a great question. I mean, we do a lot of schools, like I said, healthcare and schools are our top two industry types that we work in. And when it comes to schools, the biggest thing when managing projects, especially in the school world, is you better get that done before the day the school starts,
Yeah.
because we're talking about kids getting in the classrooms.
Right.
And if they're not in the classrooms, where are they going to be? And, you never want kids to be, uncomfortably in a trailer, or I know that's kind of happened to me when I was in high school. They threw us out in a trailer because the construction wasn't ready, right? Don't know if that's for everyone. And so we need, those deadlines are so crucial. So to me, I would probably say the summertime, making sure everything goes smoothly, because we need to make sure that when school rolls around, those kids are in their seats.
Who's the decision maker that typically reaches out, like within a school, or I guess, or a hospital too, that typically is the first contact to your organization? Just curious who that person typically is.
Well, for the school, it could be the superintendent, or maybe the CFO,
Okay.
Chief Financial Officer. Sometimes they also have like a ground or maintenance person, but I would say for the most part, the superintendent. Talks. A lot of them will talk to each other, and so that's what's so important about doing a good job, because they're going to call upon and be like, "Hey, I know that you worked with Myron Agem. How was your experience?" And the one thing that our newly president, Jonathan Haggerty, he was in charge of K through 12 for the past many years. And, he always likes to show the resume of who we've worked with, what schools,
Right.
because he wants to say, call them, ask them how we did. And he's very, very proud of that, because he knows when they call that they're going to say positive things. So our hope is that people call past our past clients and get their overall experience of what it was like working with us.
Very cool. Yeah. So referrals then are a big part.
Yeah, I think it's like 75% or maybe more of our work is based on repeat clients and referrals, and that's our biggest thing, is just repeat clients. People have a good experience with us, and they know that they want to continue working with us, and then they share their experiences with others, and it's kind of just a ripple effect.
Yeah, I always try to tell entrepreneurs the importance of referrals, even if you're just starting out. If you're doing things, one of the strategies that I've taught somebody that was starting a lawn mowing company was just to do the work for free.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and canvas doors, build up the courage to go knock,
Mm-hmm.
go talk to folks, and then just ask, hey, can I do this for free?
Mm-hmm.
But if I do a really good job, will you take a picture with me so I can highlight this on my feed or whatever it is?
Yeah.
But just the act of doing that alone is uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
And earning, again, a relationship.
Yeah.
Earning a testimonial
Mm-hmm.
is likely worth more than the $20, $30, $50 you might have earned mowing that lawn. So
Absolutely.
For the startup person that's listening to this, or the entrepreneur, to just really take home the importance of referral or testimonies, right, of your work, that can turn into 70, 80, 90+% of your incoming new business. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So let's assume that I'm watching this, I'm a community leader, I want to get in touch with you. Where's the best place to find you so we can have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and so I have a lot of people that will message me on there. More than welcome to hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can email me. And my
What's your first and last name? Because it's hard to say. We had to practice this before the show. How
I
do we?
know it's hard because I always want to tell people my last name or my email, but when I say it out loud, I realize people will mess it up about 17 times.
We can put it in here too.
Yeah,
We
let's
can
put
put it
it in
on
the
the.
chat or whatever. But yeah, it's K Colclazier, my last name. So KCOLCLAZIER at Meyer MEYER dash Najum NAJEM.com.
There you go.
There you
Somebody
go.
had a pen. Somebody's hand was
Yeah,
smoking
so I was
at
like,
the
what
end
did
of
she
that.
just say?
Well, thank you so much. Is there one thing that you would like to share with the viewers? Maybe it's a favorite quote. Maybe it's just going into the holiday season. Something's on your head. Something's on your heart. Anything you want to share before we close this down?
Yes, absolutely. I always love to tell people to say yes to opportunities. So I am so thankful and very happy where I'm at right now. And none of that would have happened if I wouldn't have said yes.
Mm.
And so I would say when an opportunity arises, if it doesn't make sense, like it doesn't feel right, like you feel like there's no way that I belong in that space, or that I should do this because of my background or whatever it may be, like do it anyway. Just
Mm.
go for it because you'll regret it if you don't. And I will say that I have constantly in my life said yes to a lot of random opportunities. And without saying yes, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
I love that. It's a courageous thing to do it scared.
Very scary.
And I can empathize and understand those fear points when you're getting ready to take the jump or take
Yeah.
the plunge. Totally agree with that. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure that hopefully
Absolutely. Yeah.
somebody is helped by that sentiment, that reality that you can jump in and say yes.
Yes.
Thank you for saying yes to this show and jumping on
Absolutely.
here very last minute too,
Yeah.
right? You made the drive in the
Sure.
snow. Thanks to Vision Studio, as always, the SBDC, for putting this whole thing together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you so much.